Remember, the pebble in the shoe and the price of gasoline could undo Obama. The man is doing everything he can to drive the price of gasoline up, to drive you into a car that doesn't work. Now, we haven't heard very much about the immigration problem in this country, but we well know that's the single biggest issue to most voters, which is the sacking of our hospitals and our schools by non-citizens. And if I have to hear one more toastcaster talk about what the American thinks rather than what the so-called hyphenated American thinks. In France, there's a big election campaign going on, and we have this sitting President Sarkozy suddenly coming out to the right saying France has too many immigrants. Why is he saying this? Well, for one, it's true. The average Frenchman is sick and tired of being overrun by foreigners. And on the right, to the right of Sarkozy, there is the daughter of Mr. Le Pen, who was a far-right candidate. She's a little more moderate to the right, and she is giving him a real run for his money, but at least he gets it, unlike Romney, who still hasn't figured out what the American people really want, because there's no one running to his right who could actually beat him. Listen to clip 15.
French President Nicolas Sarkozy says France has too many foreigners, and if he is re-elected, he'll cut the number of immigrants allowed in by about half.
I consider that to restart integration in good conditions, we will have to divide by 2 the number of people that we welcome, meaning to go from 180,000 to around 100,000.
Can you imagine if we talked about going from 180,000 to 100,000? Can you imagine how many pour over the borders into this country on a daily basis? Because this administration does everything it can to block the states that want to defend themselves. Can you believe you're living in a country where the federal government sues a state trying to defend its citizenry? Can you believe a government would sue its states trying to defend its citizens from drug gangs and from contraband coming into its states? Would you believe that you have a federal government taking the side of the opposition instead of the side of the citizen? It's unbelievable. Now, this is what you'd like to hear from Mr. Romney, but you won't hear it. And the reason you won't hear it is because his advisors are the same advisors who ran McCain off the rails. His advisors are not advising him correctly. Romney's advisors are misadvising him quite incorrectly. His advisors are sure to doom his campaign. He has got to come out front on these issues that I talk about on a daily basis right here on the Savage Nation. Immigration, how much have you heard about it recently? You think by going before Wolf Blitzer or one of the other left-wing Fabian socialist stooges on CNN or NBC that they're going to get a question that's real? No, they set them up to attack each other, which is why Romney's undermined. He fell right into their trap. I try to stop it. No one listens to me. Bill, Connecticut, welcome to the Savage Nation.
I'm a lifelong Republican, and I'm disturbed and I'm afraid that the Republican candidates are not going to bring out the foreign policy failures of the Obama administration the way you brought them out today. To let our friendly dictator in Egypt and in Libya be toppled by, well, we don't know what. At least they may not necessarily have been good for their country, but they certainly were no harm to the United States.
Well, you mean Gaddafi, right?
Gaddafi and Mubarak.
Yes. Why did they overthrow Mubarak? Why did Jimmy Carter, with Soros's money, Jimmy Carter is a big new Brzezinski, Hillary Clinton, and Obama, overthrow Mubarak, who was our best friend in the Middle East? That is the greatest single foreign policy disaster of my lifetime. Why have we not heard one word about this from Romney?
I don't know, and that's the problem. I don't know what these Republicans are thinking about. I think there is one Republican who might have the guts to do it, and that's the former Speaker. But
I agree with you. You see, he knows the issues better than any of them, and he's willing to speak out on the issues better than any of them, but he's unelectable for the reasons I have spelled out. And I don't want to go into them again and denigrate Newt Gingrich, because it's counterproductive at this point. I think we're going to have to rally behind Romney and pray to God that we can push him where he has to go, which is right to the reality center.
Well, we're going to try anyhow, at least.
Well, we're going to try by letting him know what we actually think. Bill, hold on. I'm going to send you Trickle-Down Tyranny because I want you to start spreading the word in your neighborhood about what the issues really are. See, the Republicans had a slam dunk going into this campaign. And by listening to their advisors, instead of using their common sense, they have been undermined by themselves. by letting little shrimpy men like Wolf Blitzer, the Lilliputians of our time, by letting the Lilliputians lead them around like bulls with rings in their nose and throw them against each other, like getting up there like, well, what do you think about Mr. Santorum saying to you that? This is a campaign? I wouldn't have put up with it. Instead of listening to guys like Michael Savage, I have a stethoscope on the Heartbeat of America nobody has a stethoscope as good as I do. My stethoscope is on the Heartbeat of America, and I can read the way this heart beats better than anyone else in the media. And I know what the people want to hear, and I know what they want to be told, and I also know what they need to hear and need to be told. This is an easy election. If only Romney would talk about the greatest policy disasters of our lifetime, he could get reelected by 20 points. But if I have to hear these standard stump speeches about, well, let's take back America and make it great again. We'll all restore the economy. That's the end of his campaign. If he doesn't stop speaking in high school platitudes, he's finished. And I hope his advisors are listening to the Savage Nation. Go get a copy of Trickle Down Tyranny, Mr. Romney. You'll have a campaign, all right.
Savage.